I think it was because they had no concept of this sacrificial Messiah prior to a conquering Messiah.
A question about Jesus and the resurrection.
Okay.
It appears in the Gospels, at least in hindsight, that Jesus spoke clearly that he was going to die and be raised again in 3 days. So I hear this question a lot myself, as why it appears that the disciples were not anticipating the resurrection. My assumption is it's just because of the Jewish eschatological.
Yeah, they had no concept of a dying and rising God, a resurrection in the middle of time. They had a concept of the resurrection at the end of time. For example, Daniel chapter 12, verse 2, that there'll be a resurrection at the end of time. So they were completely baffled by Jesus, which is another example of the embarrassing details that find their way into the New Testament. They don't really understand that what Jesus' mission is until he's already ascended to heaven. And then they finally go, wow, I could have had a V8. You know, up to that point, they don't get it. So I think it was because they had no concept of this sacrificial Messiah prior to a conquering Messiah, you know, an intermediate coming. They had no concept of it. And I wouldn't have believed it either. Would you have?
No.
Probably not. So I think it's just human nature. No, this can't be happening. Resurrection? You kidding me? That's why this idea that these disciples were gullible is nonsense. They didn't believe it, just like we wouldn't have believed it.